All right, welcome back to Yoga by Paige. In today's practice, we are actually going to work our way towards King Pigeon. If you don't know what that means, don't even worry about it. What we will be working on is opening the front of our body, particularly our hip flexors and our quads, strengthening the hamstrings, and opening up the chest. So if you know you're tight in any of these areas, just make sure you grab a strap. We'll need that later for sure. And if you know your pigeon pose is a little bit tight as well, you might want to have 2 blocks just sitting nearby. They're totally optional. And now, when you're ready, let's go ahead and start in downward facing dog. Coming into downward facing dog here, just take a few moments to connect with the breath. I'm doing a little bit of an inventory, scanning from the crown of your head all the way to the tips of your toes. Noticing how you feel today. We'll take one more big breath. And then you'll inhale to walk your hands all the way back to your feet at the back of your mat, arriving in a slightly wider than hip width distance forward fold. So toe heel your feet if you need to. We'll put a generous bend in the knees, let the chest drape over the thighs, and you can grab opposite elbows if you like, or find another grip that feels good to you, maybe ankles, or maybe even interlacing the fingers at the base of the skull here. Just helping you to check in with the backside of the body. Maybe shifting the weight here forward and back. Cultivating this deeper connection to your breath, allowing that to inform your movement. One more inhale. Then exhaling, release your hands down to the ground. Fingertips will press into your shins as you lengthen your tailbone back, reach your sternum forward to the top of your mat. Exhaling into this forward fold. Tucking your chin into your chest with a slight bend in the knees. Slowly roll yourself all the way up into this mountain pose. Gliding the shoulders down away from the ears. Inhale to lift the arms all the way up. Exhaling, hands back down to heart center. And then you can step the feet back underneath the hips here. We'll inhale, circle sweep up. Exhaling, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale with nice and straight legs. We'll walk out to a high plank pose. Pausing and arriving in this high plank pose, lengthening your tailbone out towards your heels. Turn your sternum forward. I'm just feeling a little bit of heat here as you cinch in or around the waist. We'll take one more breath. And then bending your knees here, you're going to tilt your pelvis out. And then we're gonna lead with the pelvis or tailbone to make our way back to downward facing dog. So really exaggerate the arch in your back. Arriving in downward facing dog, lengthen the heels down towards the ground. We'll inhale, round the spine, tuck the chin to your chest. Slowly round it forward into tabletop high plank. We'll bend the knees, lead with the pelvis. Exhale it back. Inhale, round forward. Feeling all of the pieces of the body work together, bend the knees, exhale back. Inhaling, rounding it forward. Pausing this time in your high plank pose, creases of the elbows are turning forward. You'll shift to your tippy toes, and then exhale, slowly lower all the way down with control to the belly. Untucking the toes, you'll roll the shoulders out of the ears, pressing your feet into the mat. Baby cobra pose. Using the hands for this first one. Exhaling, forehead down. We'll roll the shoulders, squeeze the elbows. Inhale, lift up, back into your baby cobra pose, cinching through your waist, feeling your legs engage, and then lift your hands up off of your mat. Exhaling, forehead down. We'll come right back into this, roll the shoulders, squeeze the elbows. Inhale, lift it up, lift your hands up. Maybe this time also lift your feet up. If it feels okay with you, you can reach the hands out, making sure the ears are in line with the biceps. We'll take one more breath, making sure we're not internally or externally rotating the thigh bones. And then exhale, release down. You can put one ear into the mat. If you are feeling some sensitivity through the back, you can windshield wipe the knees side to side as well. And then we'll go ahead and lift ourselves up, coming into a Sphinx pose, planting the elbows underneath the shoulders, The front of your hip bones will be connected with the mat, and you're gonna start to pull your chest through the biceps so that you are stacking the elbows directly underneath the shoulders and feeling a softening sensation through that middle to upper back. This area tends to be pretty tight. It's supposed to be really stable right through our rib cage here, rightfully so, because we're protecting the lungs and our heart, some pretty vital organs in there. So we want to keep them safe, but sometimes we can get a little bit stuck in this area of our body. And today we'll be working on finding some space. So each round of breath here helps you to relax a little bit deeper. You're pressing the elbows, the forearms, and the hands down into the mat. Drawing the shoulders away from the ear so your neck stays nice and long. I like to think about a little turtle coming out of its shell. You can even check in with the gaze here, turning right and turning left. Inhaling, come back through center. And if you like, you could also drop your chin down, seeing what that might do for the sensation through the back. One more breath wherever you are. And now we'll inhale, lift the chin up off of the chest. Slide the hands alongside the rib cage and slowly lower your forehead back down. We'll rock ourselves back to a gentle child's pose. When I'm working on back bends, I personally like the knees to be together. My child's pose, if you want them to be wide, please, by all means, listen to the feedback your body is giving you. Go ahead and rest your forehead down to the ground, using your hands to drop your hips toward the heels. Nice big deep breath here to inflate the lungs, creating space in the back where we were just working. And then when you're ready, you'll look toward your hands, start to come up into tabletop position. You'll tuck the toes and lift the hips, downward facing dog. Finding a nice big deep breath in downward facing dog, inhale. And exhale. And then we'll inhale to look our hands forward between our hands and slowly step the feet forward, arriving in a forward fold. Pressing your hands into the shins, find that halfway lift so that you're creating a really nice flat back, almost even a back bend here. And then exhaling it all the way back down. This time your big toes can touch, the heels can be apart. You'll drop the seat, lift your chest, chair pose, Utkatasana. So while you're here in your chair pose, you're sending the weight back, and we'll take a couple of movements with our arms to help continue opening the back. Inhale here, and then exhale, left hand will come forward, right hand will reach back. Inhale through center. This time exhale, cactus your arms, lift your sternum up high. Inhaling center, right hand goes forward, left arm goes back. Exhale. Inhale, center. We'll find that cactus one more time. And then inhale, stand all the way up. Send the hips forward. Lift your sternum up and pretend like you're squeezing a block between your hands. Exhaling, swan dive all the way back down. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthening legs and chest. Exhaling, plant your hands. We'll step back to a high plank pose. In high plank, inhale, shift to the toes. Exhaling, elbows into the side body. Scoop your chest through, finding an upward facing dog here. If you need a cobra, stay there. And then exhaling back, downward facing dog. Taking a moment to connect to your downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Step the left foot into the center of your mat so you can float the right leg high, big stretch into your three-leg dog. Inhale. Now roll that right hip open, point a knee up high to the sky. Finding a bit of opening here through the hips, letting the left heel anchor you down so you feel strength in your standing leg, using that to help you lift your knee up higher. You can also check in with the shoulders, making sure the shoulders are evenly distributing through the weight. One more inhale. And now exhaling, yogis, round that spine, draw your knee to your nose, pull the belly all the way up towards the spine. Inhale, right leg high to the sky, three-leg dog. And then exhaling, step your right foot between your hands. Knee over ankle, and if it doesn't get there, go ahead and use your hands to make sure it's there. Sneak your left toes back a couple extra inches. Feel the hips get really heavy. I like to stay up on fingertips here so that you can start to pull the chest through, letting your hips drop. We'll take another big inhale here. On your exhale, go ahead and drop this left knee down, untuck your toes, and you'll walk yourself up to this right thigh. While you're on your right thigh, you're pressing the top of that left foot down into the ground. If your knee is sensitive, go ahead and cushion it by rolling over the edge of your mat or using a blanket. And then once your foot and your shin is pressing down, inhale, reach the arms up really nice and high so that now we're activating the entire backside of the body. Your sternum is lifting up and you actually feel space in your lower back. Take one more big inhale here, and then exhaling, plant your hands down on either side of your front foot. This left hand will plant down, and you'll toe heel your right foot outside of the right hand. Pick up this right hand, flex the right toes, and then send this knee away from you. I like to work towards straightening the arm. You can look up over that shoulder towards the back of your mat. So your hips are still heavy here. You're opening through the chest. Big breath here. Now you're going to reach this right hand up to the sky and see how far you can reach back towards that left foot. This might be where your strap comes in handy. You're going to bend that left knee, capture your foot with your hand. Roll the right shoulder back, and then we're going to actually send the hips back towards that heel, so you might have to shift back a little bit. Feel the heel to butt arch alignment there, and maybe you have to change your grip so that you can start to wrap your right shoulder forward and then send the hips forward, getting into a nice juicy quad stretch that I promise you feel something in. Appreciating the sensation here in the body. Taking one more big breath. On the exhale, go ahead and gently release that left foot down. Replace your right hand back underneath you. Tuck these left toes under and sweep your right leg high to give it a nice big shake. From your three-leg dog here, inhale, shift forward to a three-leg plank. And then we'll exhaling to find a three-leg chaturanga. Set that right foot down. Pull your chest through upward facing dog or cobra. We'll exhale back, downward facing dog. From that downward facing dog here, coming into your second side, inhale, step the right foot towards the center of your mat. Float this left leg high to the sky, rolling that left hip open. Find that really strong opening for your scorpion dog. The right heel is anchoring down towards the ground, and you're tucking in with the shoulders to see if they're square. The left knee is pointing up as high to the sky as you can get it, taking one more big inhale. And then exhaling, step this left foot all the way through between your hands. Knee over ankle, sneak the right toes back. Pausing here in this low lunge, dropping the hips, pull your chest up and through. Finding a nice big deep inhale in your low lunge. Up on those fingertips so you can start to pull your chest through. Feeling the stretch to develop through the body. One more breath. Then on your exhale, we'll plant this right knee down, untuck your toes, press that foot and your shin into the mat. We'll walk ourselves up to this left thigh. While you're on your left thigh here, you're pressing down. We're gonna inhale, reach the arms all the way up high to the sky. Big opening, big length. Feeling the engagement as you press that right foot and right shin down to get into your hip flexor just a little bit more. One more inhale. On your exhale, we'll plant the hands down on both sides of this front foot. Toe heel the left foot outside of the left hand, pausing here in this lizard stretch. Pulling your chest through the biceps so you can feel it develop. One more big inhale. Keeping your right hand down here. If you're gonna inhale, lift the left arm high to the sky, opening the chest to the long edge of your mat. Find a big breath here in your low twisted lunge, and then we'll start to reach this left hand all the way back towards that right foot. You'll capture that right foot with your hand. This is where your strap might be handy if you can't quite get there. And then negotiate how you're going to grab onto this back foot so you can start to pull your left shoulder forward, squeezing your heel towards your butt. If it doesn't get there, I encourage you to shift back, make that connection, and then see how far forward you can go with that connection. You're pulling your chest forward, you're reaching your chin out, and the hips and shoulders are squaring towards the front. One more big breath. On your exhale, you'll gently release that down, replace the left hand back underneath your shoulder, and tuck your right toes. You'll sweep the left leg high to the sky for a big leg, three-leg dog. And now shift forward to your toes, finding a 3-leg plank. Exhaling, 3-leg chaturanga. Set that left foot down, pull the chest through for cobra or upward facing dog. And now exhale it back, downward facing dog. Resetting here with 1 breath. Big deep inhale. And exhale. Good, yogis. We'll lift the heels, bend the knees. You get to choose this time if you want to step or lightly hop into your forward fold. Drop your seat, lift the chest, chair pose, Utkatasana. Take a moment to settle into this chair. And then on your next inhale, you're going to stand up, bring your right knee into your chest. Good, take an inhale here, flex those right toes. And now we're going to cross that right ankle over the left thigh, sit down into a figure 4 chair pose. Bring the hands to heart center, scoop the navel into the spine, and see how low you can start to drop your hips. Might also be nice to bring one hand to your knee and one hand to the ankle of this right foot. And then lengthen out your chest towards the front edge of your mat. So you should start feeling a little bit of feedback in this right hip, challenging the balance on that left leg. We'll take one more inhale. And then step through that left leg, inhale, peel your right knee all the way back up to your chest. And we'll step this right leg back as far as we can, crescent lunge, and then settle into your warrior 1, turning those right toes out, dropping the right heel down. Wrap your shoulder forward, inhale, lift up your chest for a nice strong warrior 1. Exhaling, release the hands behind you. Roll your shoulders, squeeze the elbows, lift your chest up really nice and high. And now take all of that space and reach it forward, finding a humble warrior. We're here for just 1 cycle of breath. Let the head hang heavy. Make sure both legs are working equally and the arms can lift off of the lower back. Inhale to press through that left heel, reach the arms up really nice and high, warrior 1. Exhaling, plant your hands, step back to regular plank or 3-leg plank, yogi's choice. Shift to the toes, exhaling, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. Take a breath to reset, inhale. And exhale. We'll lift the heels, bend the knees, gaze between the hands, and decide how you want to travel forward, stepping or floating into that forward fold. Inhale to drop the seat, lift your chest, chair pose. Arriving into this really strong chair pose. Navel is pulling in, shoulders are dropping away from the ears. This time when you stand up, you're going to bring the left knee into your chest, pushing off of that right heel. Grow really tall. Think of this as a mountain pose on your right leg. Flex the left toes. Cross that left ankle over your right thigh and settle down into your figure 4 chair pose. Taking a moment to settle in, deciding if you want your hands at heart center or if you want to bring them down around that knee and ankle. Maybe the arms are straight and your chest stays lifted. Remember, you can take this any deeper if you want to. 1 more breath. Pushing off of that right leg, we'll inhale, stand up, bring your left knee back into your chest, and then exhale, step that left leg back as far as you can. First arriving in crescent lunge, and then spinning the left toes out, dropping your left heel down, warrior 1. Take a moment to settle into your warrior 1. Inhale, exhaling, release the hands behind you. Roll your shoulders, squeeze the elbows, and lift that chest up nice and high. Big opening here, and then exhale, 1 breath for your humble warrior. Snuggling the right shoulder inside the right knee. Arms lift up off of the lower back. Both legs are equally working. And then press through that right heel. Inhale, reach all the way back up. Big, strong warrior 1. Exhaling, plant the hands on either side of your front foot. Step back to 3-leg plank. Inhale, shifting to your toes. Chaturanga, exhale. Cobra or upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Taking a moment in your downward facing dog, big breath. And then on your exhale, go ahead and drop your knees down toward the mat. Coming into a tabletop position. And now from our tabletop position, we're actually going to plant the elbows down. So now you're in a forearm tabletop position. The navel is pulling in. Push the elbows into the ground, pull the navel in. We're gonna take a couple rounds of cat-cow. So you're gonna tilt that pelvis out, drop your rib cage and look up. You might notice that your range of motion is limited here. We're getting into those shoulders a bit more than we normally would if our hands were down. Exhaling, navel to spine, chin to chest. Round out as much as you can. Inhale for your cow. Exhaling for cat. We'll take one more here. Inhale, round up for cow. Exhaling for cat. And now inhale, come back to this tabletop with your forearms down. We're gonna tuck the toes and elevate the hips, coming into dolphin. So with the hips high, you might notice the hamstrings feel a little bit tight. You are welcome to put a bend in the knees, but make sure you're pressing the elbows into the ground, dropping your chest closer towards the thighs. And then allow your gaze to look back at your toes. And then if that feels good and you want to slowly walk the feet in a little bit closer, you're welcome to maybe drop the heels down. Starting to feel some opening here, continuing to stay engaged through the elbows, broadening through the chest. We'll take one more breath in our dolphin pose. Pushing through the hands, inhale, elevate both of your elbows. Exhaling here. On your next inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees. Exhaling, step or float into that forward fold. We'll inhale, lift up halfway. Exhaling down. Root to rise, this time mountain pose. Big opening in your mountain pose. And on your exhale, we're gonna cactus the arms, lift your chest up, and squeeze the legs together as the tailbone reaches down. Body should be really nice and warm now. Inhale, reach the arms up nice and high. Exhale, swan dive fold. Continue warming up the rest of our body. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhaling, plant your hands. Find the vinyasa that you choose. Stepping or hopping it back. Inhaling for your upward facing dog. Exhaling it back. Downward facing dog. Take one breath to reset. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, lift your heels, bend the knees. Exhale, step or float into your forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling it down. Root to rise, mountain pose, palms touch, gaze lifts. Lengthening the tailbone down, release the hands behind you, interlacing your fingers. Roll your shoulders down away from the ears. Squeeze the elbows, and then lengthen your hands down towards your heels without touching your lower back or bum. So your sternum is lifting up, your gaze can look up. One more big inhale here. And then leading with your chin, you're gonna put a gentle bend in your knees, swan dive fold. Let the arms come up and over into a really big opener in this forward fold. Your head can hang heavy. One more breath. And then inhale, lift up halfway, bend your elbows. Exhaling, release your hands down toward the ground. Inhale, step or float it back, moving through your vinyasa. Inhale, find that upward facing dog. And exhaling it back, downward facing dog. Take a breath to reset, to reconnect. And now inhale, lift your heels, bend the knees. Exhale, step or float, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling down. Stay with me, yogis. Inhale, rise up, mountain pose. This time on your exhale, you're gonna drop your right hand down and arch all the way over to the right. Wrapping this left shoulder back. Inhale, reach both arms high. Exhaling, drop your left hand down. Arch over to the left, rolling your right shoulder back. Inhale, reach up nice and high. This time, exhale, bring your hands either to the lower back or to just beneath your seat. Lengthen the tailbone down, shift the hips forward, squeeze the elbows, and start to walk your hands down, and maybe interlacing your fingers or maybe pressing into your sacrum. And then tuck your chin, pull the navel in, slide the hands down the front of your legs. Inhaling, lift up halfway, lengthening legs and chest. Here's your change. Plant the hands, step the right leg back. Low lunge here. Drop the hips, drop your right knee, and tuck your toes. Inhaling, reach up for that really strong activation through the backside of your body. Exhale, plant the right hand down. Peel the left arm high, low twisted lunge. Take an inhale to reach through the left hand. Exhaling that left hand all the way back. Bend your right knee, capture your foot, and start to pull that right heel into your seat. Squaring your shoulders towards the front, getting that quad stretch again. One more inhale. Good, yogis. Exhale, release. You're gonna step forward into your forward fold. Exhale here. Inhaling, lift up halfway, lengthen legs and chest. Exhaling, plant your hands. The left leg will step back this time, nice and wide into that runner's lunge before dropping your knee down. Untuck your toes, walk yourself up to this right thigh. Press that leg in to inhale. Activate the entire backside of your body, big opening stretch. Exhale, left hand down to the ground. Right arm spins high to the sky, opening the chest, creating your space first, and then reaching that right hand back as far as you can, capturing your foot with your hand. Change your grip so you can pull your right shoulder forward, squeezing that heel into your glute, finding that big quad stretch. Good, yogis. Take an inhale here. Exhaling, releasing that left foot. Plant your hands on either side of this front foot. Now step it back into high plank pose. Shift forward to the toes. Exhaling, chaturanga. Pull the chest through. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhaling it back, downward facing dog. We're here to reset for one breath. Inhale and exhale. We're going to inhale to float the right leg high to the sky, big opening, and then step your right foot all the way outside of that right hand, finding your lizard lunge once more. We're going to take our lizard lunge a little bit further by walking the hands out as far forward as we can. If you want the left knee down, you can plant the left knee down. I like to call this Spider-Man, because I feel like this is what it would be like if you were crawling up a building. So let the hips hang heavy. Feel that big opening in the right side body here. One more big inhale. And then begin to walk your hands back in underneath your shoulders. You'll just step the right leg back into high plank pose. Send back to three-leg dog, left leg up to the sky. And you'll exhale to step the left foot outside of that left hand, coming into the lizard lunge here for your second side. Setting up here so you feel supported before walking your hands out, finding this Spider-Man variation of the lizard pose. Remember, you're welcome to drop that knee if you need to, but reach out. When you reach out, what happens is we lose that support structure, so we get into the stretch a little bit deeper. One more breath. We'll start to walk the hands back underneath this time, and we'll take a few, I like to call these lizard hops. So with the left foot on the outside of the left hand here, you're gonna think about that navel pulling up and in, the hips will lift a little bit, and you have option. You can step the left leg back and bring the right leg forward. Or you can take a hop here. You're trying to hover at the peak. You inhale to breathe in, and then you exhale, switch hop. And then inhale, breathe in, exhale, switch. Inhale, breathe in, switch. Good, yogis. Inhale and breathe in, switch. This will get the heart rate up. Inhale, breathe in, switch. We'll do just a couple more. Inhale, breathe in, switch. Last one. Inhale, breathe in, switch. And then exhale, step it back, downward facing dog. Taking a nice big deep breath in down dog. Inhale. Maybe open mouth, exhale. And now we'll float this right leg high to the sky, stretching it out. You'll exhale to bring your right knee to the back of your right arm. Swing this heel underneath you, and we'll slide ourselves down, coming into a pigeon prep pose. So hopefully your hips feel pretty ready for this after that work. The body is nice and warm. You're just gonna check in with that left leg, make sure it's back nice and straight. So while we're here, you're gonna press that shin on the left leg into the ground. You're gonna press the shin of your right leg into the ground, and then hug everything into the center line of your body so you can reach your hands up nice and high. Reaching up here, feel the strength of your legs help you lift up and out. And now with control, we'll come forward to those forearms, making sure the front of the left hip bone is pointing down, the chest is drawing up and through. And if you are feeling a lot of sensation already, you can grab your handy dandy block and slide that right underneath the back of that right hip. Give yourself a little rest so you're not hanging and tugging on the tissue too much. But a little bit is okay. You know your limit. Just make sure you're listening to your body and to the feedback that you're getting. If you want to lay down a little bit deeper, sometimes it's nice to actually stack the hands and let the forehead melt down. Just keep a connection to the front left hip bone so that that hip bone is pointing down rather than out. If you notice that you are laying over on this right hip, it probably means that the alignment in your hips is slightly off. So we're breathing here into this stretch, allowing the heat that we've created to open up, noticing if you are resisting or holding on anywhere, and seeing if you can use that breath to let go of that sense of holding on, finding a little bit of trust in the body. And we'll take one more inhale here, and exhale. So working our way up, we're going to walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. We're going to hang out here in this pigeon pose for a little bit longer. If you are feeling a lot of sensation and this is where you want to stay, please, yogi, I welcome you to stay here. If you want to travel and see if you can get into a mermaid pigeon, go ahead and come on with me. You'll bring your right hand just in front of that right shin, and you'll inhale to reach the left arm up high. Just as we did before when we were reaching back to grab our foot, you'll do the same thing. The left arm is reaching back towards that leg, and then you'll bend your knee. And here's those quad openers. You can just check in to see how the quad is feeling here. And if it feels pretty open, you can slowly start to slide the foot into the crease of your elbow. So your chest is opening to the long edge of your mat, and your right arm will reach up high to the sky, maybe finding balance. So this is where that ability to press your right shin in and lift up will come in handy. You can begin to look forward and maybe even start to bring that left shoulder forward a little bit. Big back bend here. If this feels comfortable and you want to keep going, seeing where you land with your king pigeon, keep that hook of your left foot in the left arm and bring your right hand around to actually grab that foot. You have to sneak the left arm underneath so you can flip your grip, grabbing the outside edge of that foot. Now the left elbow will go up high, and maybe you can get your left hand down. Maybe you can reach your right arm up as well. You can also use your strap and loop it around that foot and walk your hands down the strap toward your foot. You can take a big breath here, maybe look up. It's a little hard to talk here. Whoopsie, and then gently release out. You'll release the hands back underneath your shoulders. That was a big one, yogis. Tuck the left toes underneath and just step back into a downward facing dog. Arriving in this downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet, nodding your head yes and no. And then we'll just shift forward into high plank pose. Inhale. On your exhale, pick up your left hand, grab the outer edge of this right leg, and look up underneath the right armpit. Twists are really great for neutralizing our back bends. We'll inhale, come center, high plank pose, left hand down, pick up your right hand, and grab the outer edge of that left leg, looking up underneath your armpit. Inhale, come back forward to that high plank pose. Exhaling, find your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhaling it back, downward facing dog. Okay, yogis, let's give this a try on our second side. On your inhale, float the left leg high to the sky. Exhaling, bring the left knee to your left shoulder. Swing that leg underneath you, and then travel the leg down the back of your arm. Walk your right leg back, coming into an upright position, pressing that foot and the shin down so that you feel some strength and activity in this back leg, allowing that to travel up and helping you to sit upright. And then now we'll squeeze everything in, also pressing into this front shin to reach the arms up high. This in itself is already a back bend. Do you see that line of energy in the back here? Can you feel that connection? And now we'll exhale with control, lower down to the forearms. The front of this right hip bone is pointing down. Your chest is drawing through. And remember, you're welcome to stay here. This is a really great place to work on kind of the orientation of the hips, getting into the areas that feel best for you, where you might be able to find a sense of relaxation. Remember, you've got your blocks, so if you want to slide your block underneath that hip, you're more than welcome. So you're not working so hard, suspended in space, but you can actually allow this stretch to develop. If you went a little bit further here, you're welcome to lower down and into any variation that you took on the first side. Making sure the connection of that right hip bone is pointing straight down. Your mind's eye is traveling through the body, making any micro adjustments to find integrity in these joints. We're here for just a couple more breaths, feeling gravity as an assistant, giving yourself permission to let go, trusting that on our own, the body really won't go too far. It might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but the risk of injury here is pretty low. So just listen to that feedback and you can pulse check to see what's going on. And we'll take one more here. Now inhaling, you'll start to walk your hands back in underneath the shoulders, coming into an upright position. So remember, this might be a really great place to stay. This might be a place that you're working on, just keeping this extension through the spine and the activation through the back leg. If you want to work towards that mermaid variation, we'll bring the left fingertips, I like them tented, in front of this left shin. And you'll inhale to reach this right arm all the way up, turning that hand back to reach towards your back leg. Once you are reaching back here, you'll bend that foot. Start to check in with those quad stretches that we did earlier in our practice. And if that feels okay to you, you can start to sneak that foot into the crook of your elbow. And then once you feel good here, you can kick the foot into your hand, feeling a little bit of resistance. Pushing down with this left shin, let your chest lift up. The left hand can then potentially come up behind your head with your chest open to the long edge of your mat, coming into a mermaid variation of your pigeon stretch. There's a lot happening here. You can begin to look forward, maybe even wrapping that right shoulder forward. And then if that feels good here, you are pretty primed for your pigeon, your king pigeon, I should say. The left hand will come around, grab that foot, and just keep it there. Now your right hand kind of has to sneak underneath so that you can grab the outer edge of this foot. Now with this hand on the foot, you're going to wrap the elbow up towards the sky, turning your chest towards the front, and maybe you stay here, or maybe you start to work the left hand back as well. Squaring your hips and squaring your shoulders, finding this king pigeon shape. Breathing here, feeling that big back bend. And then with control, you'll gently release. Replace the hands back underneath your shoulders. You'll tuck the right toes underneath and moving nice and slowly here, taking care of the body, step back into downward facing dog. Taking a moment in this downward facing dog to pedal out the legs, feel that sensation travel down the legs. And you'll inhale, come back to your high plank pose. This time, we'll start with the right side. The right hand lifts up. You're going to step back into that twisted down dog. Right hand goes to the outer edge of that left leg, anywhere on that leg that feels good. Inhale, come forward into your high plank. Exhale, left hand to the outer edge of that right leg, anywhere that feels good. Inhale, come forward into high plank pose, and then exhale, chaturanga. Inhaling, find your upward facing dog, and exhaling it back, downward facing dog. You've made it, yogis, congratulations. We'll start to walk the hands forward to our feet in a forward fold. Starting to walk the feet slightly wider than your hips, Setting up for our yogi squat or malasana, dropping the hips down nice and low. The triceps will connect with the inner knees there, and your chest draws up nice and long. Taking a moment here, feeling that length in the back. It should feel pretty welcome after those deep back bends of our king and mermaid pigeons. Feel this sensation in the backside body, even in the inner groin. One more breath. And then we'll exhale it back into that standing forward fold, toe heeling the feet underneath you. We'll drop the seat so much that now you can actually land on your seat. We'll bring the legs out in front of us for a seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Inhale, reaching the arms up nice and high. Exhaling, coming into the forward fold that serves you best. So if that means you've got a block handy and you rest your head on that block, feel free to. Maybe you grab the big toes with your peace fingers, using the arms to help you close the gap between your chest and your thighs. Neck can be an extension of the spine. Just find something here that helps you to create space and reopen that lower back. Allowing the forward fold to be a process that develops, an unraveling or unfolding here in the body. One more breath, inhale. On your next breath, we'll slowly begin to walk ourselves upright. We'll actually use the hands to bend the knees here, planting the feet flat on the mat, and then slowly begin to make your way down onto the spine. Once you're down on your back here, you can hug the knees into the chest, setting up for a happy baby. Those peace fingers can hook up on your big toes, or you can also grab the pinky edge side of your foot. Elbows are inside, knees are wide, and the lower back plants on the mat. From your happy baby here, feel free to rock it out side to side, feeling that nice, beautiful length in the backside of the body. One more big inhale. And then on your exhale, release the grip on your feet. Hug the knees into your chest, giving them a nice tight squeeze. We're gonna skip the extra back bend today because we did some big back bending. In favor, we'll close with a twist. So keep hugging this right knee into your chest. Extend the left leg long. Feel that left heel connect with the ground. And then give this right knee an extra squeeze, potentially pulling it outside of your torso all the way up towards that armpit. Really feeling that lower back lengthen. And then keep holding on with your left hand. Open your right arm out wide into a T. You can use your left hand to guide this leg across the body for your spinal twist. You're welcome to rest that knee on a block if it doesn't reach towards the ground, if it doesn't feel good hanging out in space. But check in with this right shoulder. Make sure that that right shoulder is melting down towards the ground. Your gaze can look out toward those right fingertips. And we'll take one more breath. Then inhale, come back center, hugging the knees into your chest, giving them a nice tight squeeze here. And then now we'll set up on the second side. Extend that right leg really nice and long. Connect your heel down to the ground so you can feel some activity in this right leg. And now hug the left knee into your chest. Squeeze it in, opening it outside that torso and squeezing it in a little bit deeper. Breathe here to feel that opening and length through the lower back. And then you can release with your left hand, opening that left arm out wide into your T. And you'll guide this right leg all the way over the body, coming into your spinal twist, melting the left shoulder down to the ground, turning your gaze out towards the left fingertips. Now when you're ready, we'll come back to center, hugging the knees into the chest. Draw the forehead up to touch the knees. Take a nice big deep inhale here. And when you're ready, extend the legs long for final rest. If there's something else you would like to include before your final rest, I welcome you to any other closing postures. If you're not doing anything else, you can settle down into your Shavasana, tucking the chin so the back of the neck is long, letting the legs fall open naturally, closing the eyes, and letting the mind and the body drift. And slowly begin to lengthen that breath, bringing the awareness to your belly as it rises on the inhale, falls on the exhale. And rock your forehead side to side, and bring any awareness down to your extremities that you might need to feel like you're coming back into your body. Inhale, reach the arms overhead for a big total body stretch. And then exhaling, roll over to your side, supporting your head with your arm, pausing for a round of breath. And when you're ready, you can press yourself up into a nice comfortable seat. Drawing hands to heart center, eyes closed with a slight bow in the forehead. In gratitude for sharing your practice, the teacher and the light in me honors the teacher and the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me, Yoga by Paige. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and come back because we post weekly videos for meditations, yoga flows, and vlogs. Peace.